Alrighty.
You guys able to hear me with this mic?
Yes, sir, we can. We can hear you nice and loud and clear. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yep,
All
yep.
right, beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. We'll get this roundtable on the way. This is the third episode of Raiders at the Roundtable. So excited to have our speakers here at the table. Waiting for the Pickle and Saro to accept our invites to speak. But for anyone there who is listening and interested in talking and giving their points or their opinions, please, request to speak, and we will add you to the table. That way you can have your thoughts and your words heard, and we can add it to the table for the developers really to listen in on and get our feedback from a kind of decentralized type of way. I'm excited to get this up and running again. It's been a few weeks. Obviously, most of you know that I moved and had a new job started, so had a lot of things going on in my life, but finally getting things settled back into where it needs to be able to pull these off. And I'm pumped because we have a lot to talk about, guys. So much to talk about. But before we get started with all the topics, how's everybody doing today? How's the table doing today?
Table's doing well. It's a nice Sunday.
I got a
Going
lot of
pretty
words
well.
for you people.
Actually, nice day out for a change.
It is
Nice.
absolutely gorgeous day. All right, well, let's get into it. We've got a lot to talk about. So, if you do not know, for those who are listening, who our speakers are, we've got Crypto Raider Darude, streamer, Frizz of Soul, music extraordinaire, Saro, the lead of esports for Crypto Raiders, Peter, The Rock, who's actually now a part of Crypto Raiders, the team, if you did not know, on the data and analyzation side of their operation. Helv Gaming, you should know him, creates amazing content for YouTube and supports the amazing community of Crypto Raiders. Belay, the designer or co-founder designer of Crypto Raider Companion. That's correct, right, Belay? I got that right?
It's not only designer, but yes, co-founder of the extension.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, with that little introduction, hopefully we'll get the Pickle up here and other speakers to talk with us. But let's go ahead and get into it. Abilities. First reactions for abilities in regards to how it's impacting PvE and PvP. We could talk about this for days probably. But let's try and keep it short. If you have anything you want to add, we'll kind of go around the table and get everyone's thoughts. You can, I think you can like request to speak with, hand. You can like put your hand up, right? So if you want to say anything regarding abilities, PvE, please let me know. We'll go around the table. Does anyone want to start? Let me just throw that out there. Who wants to start the conversation off? Helv Gaming. We'll go Helv Gaming and then Belay. We'll go Helv Gaming and then Belay.
All right. So on abilities, as far as PvP goes, I do think it's cool. For the most part, it does just make the fights longer. But I do think they've done a lot of work with the feedback we've given since tournaments got up and running with the abilities, and they've made the AI a lot better, so it's not messed up like it was. So as far as PvP goes, I think it's just waiting on some of those abilities that aren't really that good to either get a use or for more features to come out that give them a use, such as like enchant might be really good if there's 3 raiders in a party or in a team on PvP or something. That could be really cool. We don't know what features are coming behind the scenes and what's getting worked on and what their priorities are. So it's really hard to tell, but they just kind of, a lot of them need a little bit of a buff in the meantime, I think, that might get reverted once they get some more stuff out in order to be useful. As far as PvE goes, I don't really care for abilities that much at the launch. I think there's some work that needs to be done there. Having it is kind of cool, but at the same time, like, the abilities just don't feel much better than just using a basic attack when you're not max level with high level stats. they kind of feel just worse, and then the bosses are all stronger for having the abilities and having higher HP. So it just makes leveling a more tedious and slow process overall. So there's probably some work that needs to be done in terms of making them just a bit better and making them, more on tier with like Bastion and Flame and less on tier with like Blind and Escape Artist.
Yes, I'm entirely, completely agree with you, LV. Just in my, for me, it's way cooler to have a start of diversity, giving us some cool way of different way of attacking, etc. Even if it needs a lot of balancing to be, powerful than just runes. So completely agree about that. You were talking about a combat with multiple people involved. I have been spending a lot of time investigating in the GameCon recently, and don't worry, it's in the game actually. It's integrated as if you could possibly attack several people at the same time. So yes, it's definitely in the work for Crypto Raider.
I think we can all agree that it definitely adds a new level of just fun, just straight fun to the game. I think we all love building out the strategy of picking which ability to use or not. So just in that regard, I think they nailed it. I think they nailed it in terms of adding more fun to the game. Even just like grinding out raiders and leveling them up, hitting the space bar. Like, I mean, a lot of you have mentioned that just hitting the hotkeys has made the game more fun. It's made it more like an MMO. How has PvP been going, Sarah? I don't know if you can speak to that at all, but how has it affected PvP in that regard? I mean, obviously it's made the fights longer, but how has that kind of played a factor in PvP?
Zero is muted right now. He can't speak.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to speak, but I know I talked to some of you guys in the tournament yesterday about how picking Brace for your character was basically a death sentence because the AI couldn't decide, what to do with the abilities. So how do you guys see them working around that? Is it just a matter of setting a code, changing code, or do they need to do something there different? Is there something? I mean, obviously it's just code, but I mean, how does that? I mean, where do we go from here? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Hey, all right, so I'm back. I'm really excited for the abilities as far as that goes. I don't know if what I'm saying is going to be completely as an answer to what you were saying, but some of the things that I find pretty interesting about the abilities as people continue to use them and just learn a little bit more about what they're good at doing and what they're good into, and as the game continues to become more complex, I'm pretty excited to see something kind of like, I don't know if you ever played any card games like Magic the Gathering where you get a sideboard. So you game one, you start with your traditional deck or your traditional raider, and then game 2 and 3, you can change out some of your abilities to maybe try to counter what you think your opponent's going to do, and that adds like a whole bunch of extra levels to just actual metagaming and mind gaming to the actual duels.
Yeah, I just think the ability can. I mean, we can start to elaborate a real strategy in game, like create a real combo, not just huge stats and a good rune. It's there is more hope around this corner.
Yeah, I don't know if all of you know, but Sero is a genius at card games. Apparently, I've watched some of your old videos, Sero. You playing what was that game called?
Runeterra?
Runeterra. Yeah, I watched some of your videos. I was like, yeah, this guy knows what he's playing.
Oh yeah, I played a handful of card games. Runeterra was the last one I try-harded. I'm a little sad because my peak in that game was rank 2 in North America, and I never hit that rank 1.
Oh, that is sad. You know what they say about second place? It's the first one that's last.
Yeah, you're the first among the losers.
Yeah. All right.
Oh no, only second best in the entire country.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm super excited. I think abilities, like as they flesh it out more, and then obviously once we actually get to human versus human PvP, then that whole strategy that Belay was talking about is really gonna open the floodgates, and I think we're all excited and waiting for that. But for now,
Oh yeah, I can't wait for this.
yeah,
Oh, once we get human versus human, that starts to really change a lot because then your timing and your decision making really starts mattering, right? Because if you predict that your opponent is going to use a defensive spell like the magic armor, you don't want to launch an attack into that defensive spell. So you're going to have to kind of predict what you think your opponent's going to do, and there's a lot of like getting into your opponent's head. If you think they're going to be offensive, you want to get defensive, that kind of stuff. So like if you can time an ability that gives you some extra resistances at the same time that they unload a bunch of damage, that can really be, if you time it properly, that could really change the pace of a game.
yeah, 100%.
Looks like Darude wants to say something.
Darude, go ahead.
Before you moved on from skills, I just wanted to say I think part of the reason why they don't feel as good as they should is because we're missing the SFX, right? Like I remember back when we had crit effects, it was like the best thing ever, landing a crit. I think it just needs to feel good to use an ability.
Well, I think some of the abilities feel pretty good. Like I don't know what everyone else thinks, but it feels to me like magic armor is like really good. The amount of turns it takes, like what is it? I think it takes 5 hits, not including crits, for you to be able to cast the magic armor, and it blocks somewhere like between 2 to 4 hits. So it really buys you a lot of time. I think what would be nice is if the other abilities felt as impactful as the magic armor does.
Oh, that's not my point. I'm saying whenever you cast magic armor, it should go shing.
I love that magic armor animation. It looks pretty sick.
It does 100%. Also, the
Looks like
quality-
Peter
Yeah.
wants to say something.
Did you see that quality of life
Yeah,
change? They hot changed. They changed the alt from the alt. What did they change it to? I didn't even see. For the
Archy.
rune. Archy? That makes sense. Peter, go ahead.
all right. Yeah, I was just on that note. I was just really thinking about the extra dimensions that abilities add to the game. So, firstly, I think it adds a layer of cosmetics to the game. So, if you look at the team has been talking about cosmetics as a form of a sync. I think abilities really add that value of cosmetics in terms of like the effects. Sound effects are just going to be the basic ones, but it could be like the visual effects that can be a form of cosmetics that the team. The second thing about abilities is that it adds another layer of storytelling. So, like for instance, you could look at the Raider and say, "Hey, this Raider is a master of some dash or magic missiles. This Raider is perfect. This Raider is like really the best at executing magic missiles as compared to the Raiders." So it kind of adds this kind of element of storytelling and some kind of special powers that this Raider has in in relation to the abilities. So I think abilities here they really open up two kinds of dimensions in this case, and I'm really excited to see how these will progress eventually.
Go ahead, Helpy.
Yeah, I'm kind of imagining based off of what Peter's saying there. It's just kind of coming to my head of like imagine when we get talent trees. If every level you get a talent point that you can distribute, and like maybe some of the effects are things like magic missiles now strikes 5 times instead of 3. And then as you put more points into it, it strikes 6, 7, 8 times. So you can really specialize a character. And maybe you also have things, like weapon proficiencies where, like, this character is just really good at using a scythe and just really wants to have a scythe equipped. Can still use anything, but if you have 5 talent points dumped into scythe proficiency, you're going to be vastly better using a scythe. So I think there's a lot they can expand on with abilities there. And it's really cool that Peter brought that up because I didn't even think of that. And I think that's a really cool way they could go. and probably are planning to.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that either. I didn't even think about the story aspect of the abilities, and as they flesh out that, and the story actually becomes more role playing character, right? There's so much that's going to be added to the aspect of abilities, but I for one am super happy with the start of what we have. Let's pivot to what can it do for the future of PvE and PvP regarding abilities. Obviously, we've got the human versus human aspect, but do you think there are any other, like, of the abilities we have right now, are there any abilities that you can throw out there right now, just as a brainstorm session for the devs to kind of consider?
I'd love something kind of like the move Bide from Pokemon, where your character can't really do too much for a few turns, but it stores up all the damage that it takes and launches it right back at the enemy.
I would love a spell that reload your rune counter. Like, it's heavy in cost, but you can use your rune twice in the run. Could be nice, and or even some heal. You don't have a really a good way of healing in PvP tournaments except for shield.
Yeah, I second that heals would be really cool. I also think that any kind of like crowd control would be really cool. Any kind of like silence, maybe they can't use abilities for 2 turns or 3 turns, or any kind of like 1 turn stun or a fear effect or something that makes them take increased damage and can't attack you for a turn or anything like that. That just any of the millions of crowd control effects that RPGs have come up with over the years.
Yeah, I was hoping for some, like, they have the drain attack. Like, I was hoping for some kind of like actual drain the HP of the enemy to add to yourself. And so I'd love to see that aspect, and I think that would, go hand in hand with what Belay was asking for some kind of more healing. They've got a drain attack, and it what does it do? What does the drain attack do again? Or it's called drain strike, right?
Yeah, it just reduces by 5 energy how much they gain the next time they attack. So if you miss, you gain 0. If you hit, you gain 5 instead of 10 and 5.
Oh, and a spell that confuse the enemy. So like the enemy could do a random spell, miss his rune, or just do something weird. Could be nice.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, think about a confused spell. Awesome. We'll table that discussion. Think about some more ideas next time we come to the table. Let's see if we can think of some more. All right. I'm gonna go play a whole bunch of MMOs and just pull out all kinds of abilities from WoW and throw it at them. Let's jump into the next topic here that we want to talk about, which is a fresh look at the play and earn aspect of Crypto Raiders, which is honestly, let's be straight with each other. We all got into NFT gaming because there's a possibility to earn, right? There's a possibility to earn some real money playing a game. Obviously, as we all have seen, the play and earn aspect of Crypto Raiders has evolved, right? Instead of thinking that we're going to be able to have Aurum drop to us as we run a dungeon, now it's just a matter of selling gear. Before we kind of jump into the bullet points I've got, let me just get your opinions right now. The table, I'll just throw it out there. Whoever wants to kind of just vent maybe just about their thoughts regarding play and earn. Table's yours, Blay.
Yay. Well, that's very clear for the moment. It's fully experimental. I think it will be healthy to have several ways to earn Aurum, not just selling by selling items, because I won't know how it will be implemented for Scholar, for example, because it has to be a very important place in the game economy. But for the moment, it seems nice. It's just testing. You can buy a few keys with that, but it's not the end. We have to wait more. And also for the mob rewards, it's very a little reward in terms of rarity. I have a mythic mob that got me like 70k or room. 17. And a friend of mine only have an epic and got 3k room. So there is a lot of difference with the rarity of the mobs. And for me, that's a very good news for the value of the mob when we will get a lot of player in the game if we do.
Peter, are you able to see any? You might not be able to answer this question, but are you able to see like how much gear is being sold, like on your data analytics side of things? Is that something you can like break down or no?
Well, I'm supposed to do that, but I haven't done that yet. So maybe in future discussions, I could probably bring that to the table. Yeah, so now it's pretty early at this point of time.
It's, if you are in the CR team, maybe it will be possible for you to reference that in the because every item that are sold are in the stash or crypto riders, so it won't be as accessible for the other people than the CR crew.
Yeah, eventually, I think they mentioned that you want to build out NFT marketplace for items, right? And I think that will probably involve some kind of on-chain mechanics. I'm not sure whether they're going to that direction, but I think that will eventually you will eventually have we as a community will have like visibility on the numbers. Uh, Maybe mid time in the future. Right now, it's a bit too early because they're uh, catch up with the abilities component. They're trying to make sure that everything's in order at this point.
And you just made me realize that if you think about it, this version of the how to sell items, I think it's only temporarily because if I remember well, they were talking about uncrafting items and a marketplace. So what's the point of selling the item if you can uncraft them and have materials and stuff from that might be more efficient? I think they were talking about shards. Like if you uncraft a rare item, you got rare shards that made possible to craft some rare item, etc., etc.
I haven't really heard much on the part about the crafting part, the enchanting part. But all I know is that the team is also working on that component. It's just they haven't really visited that yet because right now they're pretty much focused on the abilities component. But all these things should be coming out in due time, and I'm pretty sure that moving forward they will eventually focus on that. I mean, lots of things to talk about, but I'm not sure that it's mature to talk about this now because it's too early, and I considering that we have future sessions here, then we can probably have more details and to talk about. So very excited to see what's going up ahead.
Yeah, okay. I'm just launching some idea around there, and also there is a point around the benefits from the generation. So if we take into account my my ideas, how is it possible to apply that on everything? Maybe like if you got a Lightbringer with a Gen 1 and you say, do you get more shards than a Lightbringer with a Gen 6? Maybe, I don't just launching the idea.
Okay, that's a very good question. But I think the team is aware of that. But remember that the team is like we don't want the new we don't want the older generations to like probably have an advantage over the players in the game because it's going to be like a case of like the older players having the advantage of progressing the game. and we don't want that. But what I can think of, a strategy behind that is that, crypto raiders is all about experimenting in the game, right? So there are things like slow resets, right? Which is where you can reset your flow. So there could be a case of like maybe for the older generation, it's cheaper to experiment in the sense that, let's say when you reset your scroll, maybe that player will get a cheaper scroll in this case. So that's what we could probably explore as a team to really figure out like maybe for the older generation players, it could be cheaper for them to experiment, but for newer generation, it'll be a bit more expensive for them to explore. I think that's where I can see that there can be some kind of differentiation in the value of older and newer generation traders in this case. And I don't think this will be the only thing. There are many other strategies in terms of like how to differentiate the value between the different generations. And right now, it will be a case of like, let's see how it goes. What kind of strategy can do that.
That's great. Helvey, you can go ahead.
All right. Yeah. As far as Laz goes in general, and how Play&Earn is going, or Play&Earn is going so far with crypto traders, I've been pretty outspoken about it that I'm not a huge fan of Laz and his prices. Anybody who's been in Discord much has seen I'm not a huge fan of it. But like the more time that passes and the more I think about it, the more I like completely understand the reason why his prices are where they are, and he's set up the way he is. And you kind of have to think of it from the team's perspective of what issues they're kind of looking at and possibly facing right now with the economy of crypto raiders and their concerns there. And it comes down to the fact that with Generation 6 being cap for recruitment for right now, and not a whole lot other, like if you're not competing in tournaments, there isn't a whole lot of reason to spend on keys and level up. There really isn't much demand for Aurum right now. And if they start dropping Aurum or anything like that, they would have probably had Aurum down to like less than a penny in like a matter of months, because there just isn't much demand to burn Aurum right now. And you kind of see that from Nat's posts with them going to be removing the extra money going into solo stake to try and remove a bunch of supply. So we'll probably see solo stake APR go down to like 3-4% in the near future as that happens, because I don't think there's a whole lot of spend. I know Peter could probably talk more on how much is actually getting spent. I know he has all of those analytics things, but I don't know how much is actually getting spent on Gen 6 recruiting. And with it capped, I expect that to go down drastically. So they kind of have to find some ways to get people to spend a whole lot of Aurum. And I don't know how they're going to do it. I know they have some ideas, but it's a very rough problem to solve because there just isn't any end game incentive without a way to earn. And if you add in a way to earn, you risk crashing the entire economy. So it's kind of, you almost have to take a stand and pray on one side of it, and that's an extremely risky thing to do with your project. So I kind of get where they're at there. It's not a problem I'm envious of them for having to figure out a way to solve.
Yeah, there's a Nat has a great thread regarding like the supply demand price. I don't know if you're following him on Twitter, but he says something that I think can alleviate our thoughts and fears. Where he says we're fine with a very low floor for raiders because we want the primary asset of value to be items, rare armor, weapons, crafting tools, cosmetics, etc. Stuff that enhances play but is not necessary for play. And I think the fact that the team is looking at the economics of crypto raiders in general, the fact that they're looking at that and valuing the items and the gear and the actual play part of the game, I think that should alleviate our fears of that. Hey, we're not going to earn maybe a lot of money right now, but down the road, yeah. Peter just shared it to the. Did you just share it to the Raiders? I think you did. Oh, anyway, the top I see right now. Anyway, but yeah, I'm excited, and I didn't expect to get into crypto rares and make a lot of money right away. Anyway, I don't think we should do that. I think that's irresponsible of us, especially with them only developing or in development for 9 months. But I just love the direction that they're going, and I think they've got a good head on their shoulders regarding the direction. Now, something I want to pose as a question to the table is, was it a mistake for them to open the recruiting or set the recruiting to a 28-day cycle? What do you guys think about that? Capping it, like, should they have just limited it completely, or did they kind of shoot themselves in the foot? The table's yours, Frizz. And then Darude.
Yeah, my personal thought on that. So there's like Pierre was mentioning, it's all experimentation, and it's such a new space that there's been a bunch of experiments, and as a whole, I feel like the Crypto Raider team has done such an amazing job at innovating and creating great things. I feel like the supply was increased a little too quickly, and that was their intention. And I think it's smart that they capped Gen 6 at least for now, because the floor was increasing. Hit about I think 0.11, and then there was the recruitment. But yeah, I think there was a huge backlash in the community from that recruiting, and that was heard throughout the team. So I'm happy that they capped it, because the thing with recruiting too is it's exponential. So the growth of demand needs to meet that exponential curve. Every recruitment cycle that we go past this, it's just going to increase the supply way more. So that's kind of my thought, is that it was something where it wasn't hugely appreciated, or not a ton of people were happy with the new generation recruiting. But it's all experimentation. And I think it's good that they capped it right now. That's where I stand on it. I think I've been realizing more and more too that a big part of what makes the game fun too, kind of like you were mentioning, the value is that there's value at stake in the game. That's what's super interesting about the crossover of NFT gaming, and I think that's something that can be celebrated, is that if these characters retain value, that's a play to earn aspect in itself, where people are leveling up their characters, and that makes it more valuable. And I think that's something where maybe play to earn mechanics, sometimes the more nitty gritty, like items and merchants and earning in dungeons, makes it where it's overlooked that these characters gaining value can be play to earn in itself. And for that to happen, there needs to be some type of fixed supply. And last point on this kind of thread that I'm speaking right now is a lot of people got into this game because of deflationary mechanics, where I know for myself, I got really interested seeing 10,000 supply and there's permadeath. So I'm like, okay, the supply is going to go down. And that was very, very interesting to me. And then we kind of have seen the reverse, where the supply has gone up without a burning mechanic. So I'm excited for permadeath and interested to see how the team creates that. Because personally, I'd like to see a decrease in the supply, but that's just one opinion, and coming from someone who likes having less crypto raiders in the supply, but would love to hear everyone else's thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I really like the idea of permadeath as well, coming in and reducing the supply. But you do also have to remember, other than the random people that have just been craving permadeath and are looking for it for the fun of it, and those will dry up very, very, very quickly if there is no reward there. and Sass made a post about this in token discussion the other day as well. Permadeath it's not removing value or removing anything from. It's just an exchange of value. People are just going to get as much money out of their permadeath dungeon or whatever it is that they're doing as the character is worth, and then just recruit another one. And if they can't do that, then they're just never ever going to do permadeath, and you'll just see 20 characters a day die at tops out of 100 and something thousand eventually, or 200,000, and it's not going to make any noticeable difference unless there's massive rewards there. And if there's massive rewards there, then people are just going to farm them until they become worth less than the value of a character. So it's not necessarily a silver bullet, but it is something that I'm excited for and to see how they do it. And it's just it's very difficult to balance it and find a way to make it work. So don't be surprised if it's a while away.
Yeah, completely agree. Just I think David, you wanted to talk before, if you want. Or I can.
Yeah, Darude, you had your hand up. Did you want to say something to add to it?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm very agree with what you said, LV, and just in my opinion, that's I love that the fact that they still allow recruiting to the sixth floor because and they locked it at the sixth generation because it prevent the dilution of the rare riders because a lot of my friends wanted only to recruit with the rare riders and it won't be healthy for the rare economy even if it's only a speculation at this point. But for me, it was important for crypto rider to add a lot of supply to reduce the price of the riders because the first generation were way too inaccessible for new players that don't have at least $600 to put in a rider. I think the limitation where they can just monitorize the amount of rider in circulation and determine whenever they want to allow the further generation to be minted. It's a very good way to have to improve and keep the value of the riders because of course they're gonna add a lot of new mechanics with the riders. So I think I lost my where I wanted to go, but that's the point.
Yeah, I think you made some good points there. I think the fact that they capped the Gen 6 recruiting and no more recruiting would be going on beyond that. I think that was a smart decision by them. I haven't recruited since Gen I guess 4. I just been playing my own raiders, but also have been really busy. But there was something I wanted to throw out there right now, a question to the team, and then I'll throw this question out there. Frizz, you can go ahead, and then the team can answer. Would you take one of your best raiders right now into a tournament that was permadeath and it had like really high rewards? Think about that. Would you take your best raider into a 500,000 Aurum prize pool and risk your raider dying right now? Frizz, go ahead, and then Helv.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't, but I'm also less of a tournament player and more of kind of a casual crypto raider player. I enjoy the dungeons, and that's kind of how I've been playing the game. So, yeah, I probably in that aspect wouldn't if there was a dungeon with super rare gear. In that kind of goes back to what Helv was saying, which completely agree with that value exchange in permadeath. It's permadeath definitely is not a silver bullet. And yeah, one last thing I want to touch upon with the generation recruiting is that I think it was a well-timed recruitment for when they did the previous recruitments, bringing the floor price down from that 0.11 Ethereum floor about that to make it more accessible. and so I think that was good timing on their part to do that, to make the game feel accessible. And I feel like the game now is very accessible, with a lot of people willing to spend $60 on a video game with no intention of return on it. So I feel like that's kind of a reasonable price point, is close to that 60 range. And yeah, just there has to be a lot of thought that gets put into this next recruitment. And I feel like the time for that next recruitment should be when that floor crawls back up to a price that's noticeably out of reach for a majority of people to enter.
Yeah, as far as the question on sending a top tier tournament character into permadeath, the rewards would have to be obnoxious. Because right now it costs over an Ethereum to get tournament ready. So you're going to be talking about your average winnings. If you compete in the tournament 20 times, your average winnings have to be 2 ETH. So you're looking at, it's not a 500,000 Aurum prize pool. It's a 10 million Aurum prize pool. It's just obnoxious. And I don't think that would be sustainable, because you just have it being dumped like crazy. And that's just how ridiculously large the prize pools would have to be to incentivize people to take something that they spent, $3,000-$4,000 on, into a chance to lose it. You also probably run into some issues with gambling regulations there at some point. I don't know where the line is, but they probably have to run that type of stuff through and make sure they're not stepping over any lines, especially with the way the U.S. government can be.
Yeah, and I don't think that will be good for them, just to create some event that only favorize the big only the big wallets, because the first gen rider costs a lot, and not even if you have to spend that much Aurum, it won't be profitable in terms of reputation for crypto rider. I don't think that's the point. It should focus on more diversity for everyone to have a chance to win tournaments.
We've got a new person that's been added to the table, Crypto Pepe. Did you want to go ahead and add your thoughts?
So basically, I wanted to talk about the recruitment that you did. So I can understand it fully that you wanted like to $50, $60, and so it's okay. What are you gonna do about the generation difference between generation 1 and generation 6? It's only like 30% that you get from less, and it's not worth buying one for around 1 ETH at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they've got to add some more utility or benefits to the higher level generations, or I guess lower generations, Gen 1, right? And I think that's something they can do. They did it with Laz, right? You if you sell to Laz with a Gen 1, you get more Aurum. But I mean, even then, it's probably not that much of a difference that it makes a difference. You know what I mean? And I've always thought, in my opinion, that Gen 1s are already overpriced, but they're also a collectible. So I mean, I get that opinion, that people love Gen 1s because it's the Genesis, basically, right? Helvey, go ahead. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, on Gen 1s, I don't necessarily think they actually, yes, it would be great to have more value go back to Gen 1s, but I think it's completely fine if they just let that be a market action and just say, they have their benefits, but there's a limited supply, and if they become more valuable in the future, it'll just be because of their rarity. I think they're priced reasonably at the floor right now at 0.2. It's not that horrible. That being said, if you're just looking for ROI, obviously, anybody can do the math very, very quickly on that Gen 6 floor is the way to go if you just want ROI. Literally, if you're just looking for ROI, buy 400 Gen 6 Raiders off the floor and go Quest, and you'll be getting better ROI than I am, because I bought an earlier generation. So it's literally just buy floor. It's that simple, and go Quest. And that's your 1 year ROI is right there. I don't think it's really necessarily a problem that they don't get a whole lot of added value. I do think for tournament players, especially, Gen 1s are going to be mandatory in the future, and I'm personally looking to buy some. If I can manage to sell, like I've got my Mythic listed and things like that, if I can sell some stuff, I'll buy some Gen 1s. But that's just because I think long term, the 30% bonus you get if you're doing, over the course of 6 months, you're doing tens of thousands of dungeon runs, that 30% really helps you bring the price down if you're selling all of your junk gear. So I do think it has some value there. It's just not good in an ROI perspective. It's just good for like tournament players bringing their price down and not being so ridiculously priced out of trying to compete. It still doesn't make tournaments positive ROI, I don't think. I still think it's a minus EV play to compete in tournaments right now. But it is getting a lot better as we progress.
So what are you gonna do about people that bought like 2 months ago, Generation 4 for like 1 Ethereum or around it? I got one for 1.3 Ethereum, I guess, and it's not that nice to have it like 70-80% down.
I mean, on this point, that's the part of the game. Sadly you just bought a rider at the wrong moment, and the crew, the Crypto Rider crew, is willing to create a long term experience. So if it's not really a good place to invest money and expect to multiply this by 2 or 3 in a short term condition. I think in the long term it could be profitable to about not that early last gen. I mean, if the game still exists in like 1 year, you will have a lot of riders, and Gen 4 or 5 might be a great placement at that time. So I don't think that's.
I got your point, and I'm asking myself now, why should any person buy a Generation 4?
How much is the Generation 4 floor price right now? Anyone know?
I guess 0.15.
15?
Of course, I mean Fairy or Dark Elf.
Yeah, it's a little bit rough for people that bought it like the top of the hype. But anybody that's
I think the main reason somebody would buy something like that is mainly because they want to, right? Like, say you want an older generation Raider, but the Gen 1s or the Gen 2s or the Gen 3s, they're just a little too much. You still want like that flex value. So maybe you go for the Gen 4, like just because that kind of fits what you're going for. I think that's more of like a personal preference kind of thing. If the Gen 4 Dark Elf isn't for you, maybe the Gen 6 is, I think that's just more of a personal type of preference thing.
Yeah, also in theory, the Gen 4 has had more time than Gen 5 and 6, and so if you've been questing since questing launched, you should be hitting around level 15, and when a new herb comes out, it's very possible that you might need to be a higher level, so Gen 5s and 6 might not be able to do it right away. So there is some value there if you've been keeping up with questing on it and things like that. But beyond that, I also wanted to talk about like the people that bought the top of the hype cycle in January. If you've been in crypto for any length of time, you've been through these hype cycles with other projects and then seen it crash back down to reality when it kind of moves away from that project for a little while and then it comes back. And these are just kind of things that happen in crypto. Sometimes you're going to buy at the wrong time and kind of buy the hype. Stick around a while. I do think there will be more hype cycles in the future, and you'll have a chance to get your money back out of it if that's what you want to do. It sucks if you decide you just need to get out now and you bought at the top of the hype. But that's just kind of market actions and kind of what happens, and there isn't really a way to fix that. It's just kind of the reality of crypto. But if you stick around a while, I do think there will be future hype cycles and future times where prices just get stupid for a little while. And that kind of happens all the time in crypto. And if we get, some big marketing push, or if they port to mobile at some point and have a mobile app, like you could see ridiculous numbers of new people all of a sudden, and you have crazy moments like that, and just try and advise people, wait for the hype to die down a little bit before you buy in. But people don't tend to listen to that.
Yeah, like right now is a hot time to buy. Like if you're looking to load up and you're really like you're into crypto raiders and you see the future, right now is a great time to buy. Honestly, crypto Pepe, go ahead.
So you had the goal to reach like $60 floor in around generation 10. I guess that's what Ned said. So you reach it already now. What are you gonna do about it? How to you're gonna to do it like stable, that we don't go for 15, $20?
Yeah,
I think that's
Go ahead, Frizz.
a great question, and kind of what a lot of people are asking. I also want to mention the pretty much this entire panel is mainly community members that have strong contributions to the ecosystem, but we're also not directly affiliated in the sense of like making decisions like that. So a lot of it's speculation, and the what's great about this project is they listen so much to the community, and there's a lot of people who are in the community that make strong contributions. So just want to put that out there too, that it's not like we have the direct access to click a button and make that change personally on this board. But I think that's a good question for that price point, and I think them capping at Gen 6 right now where they are, and kind of being like, okay, this is where we're gonna stop recruitment for a while. I think that's a strong push in a positive direction towards that question of them hitting that equilibrium of it being affordable, it being accessible, and then also being good for the market.
Agreed. I mean, we could talk, I think, about the Play&Earn aspect of crypto raiders for hours. We're already up with 5 minutes left, so we're already about an hour for this show, and that's how long I want to keep it. So this last 5 minutes, I do want to turn the discussion to something a little more fun, a little less serious. Throw your ideas out there, guys. Aurum sinks. What do you have? What do you think they can add to the game that will increase the price of Aurum or allow us to spend Aurum in the game? Throw me your ideas so that way the devs can hear it, and let's see if we get any of that into the game. Just shout them out. Just shout any ideas you guys have.
Phoenix down.
I have a lot of ideas, I guess. First of all, pets, cosmetic, maybe land with a base home for the guild. Like for example, the guild could take, or like you could have guild chest. In the guild chest, all the guild members inject Aurum in the guild chest, so the guild master can buy a land for the guild, etc., etc. Could be very nice, but maybe too much long-term idea. Just thinking. But for the moment, cosmetic pets could be cool. If a pet can help you in combat or give you some buff, maybe could be nice.
Yeah, I think there's tons of ideas out there for Aurum sinks, and you can kind of look at almost any other MMO and just say, all right, how do they get gold out of the ecosystem? And just, I mean, these are problems that have been worked on for 2 decades now by MMOs, so it's not a new topic. There's a lot of cool things they could do. They could do, you could sell like we talked about with SAS the other day. You could sell, like a stone that lets you summon a mob to help you or something, and part of the price of selling that stone goes back to the mob owner, and then you can take the rest of it out of the ecosystem, and things like that are cool. I had an idea that I tossed around in a chat, and the devs already have heard about this, and it's just kind of using EVE Online's kind of idea for pulling some, for them it's a way for them to make profit, but for us it would be an Aurum sink, and that's selling basically a way to remove experience from your character and transfer it. and that lets you basically sell the experience on. Basically, you'd have to tokenize it. I have no idea if it's at all realistic for them to do something like that because of the work that would have to go into it, and getting it on chain and moving your experience on chain and things like that. It would be very weird and probably a whole lot of work. I have no clue what goes into that. I'm not into any of that coding or anything like that. But I think it would be a cool way to let people instantly catch up. You charge, if you want to remove 20,000 experience from a character, maybe it costs 600 Aurum or 800 Aurum or something, and that's just Aurum that's removed from the game immediately, and it's creates a massive sink. And then the person who removes the experience can then sell it for 1,000 Aurum, and you get a little bit of profit off of your experience, and it lets you make a little bit of money back if you're somebody that's going way over experience cap consistently. And at the same time, it gives people a cheap way to catch characters up to kind of where we are now. Because right now, if you want to catch up, you're going to have to spend about 4,000 Aurum on keys, is what it comes out to catch up to where we are right now. Or you're going to have to spend 6 months waiting and doing free runs, and then, we'll be 6 months ahead of you still when you finally catch up to level 9. So it's kind of a rough spot where they do want to give value to characters that are leveled up, but you can't go too far in one direction either, where it's just not possible to catch up without spending an obnoxious amount of money. So you kind of have to find some middle ground, and I think that's a really cool spot to create a big sink.
Frizz, you can go ahead.
Sweet. Yeah, I love those ideas. I think those are awesome. And to touch on the cosmetics thing too, I think that's one that could be a big sink in the future as there's more like kind of casual gameplay type stuff, especially with the brief mention of land in the overworld. I feel like that's going to be huge because the majority of players playing this game right now aren't necessarily playing tournaments, and they're just in it for the casual aspects. So if there's a way to like design your room that was publicly accessible that raiders could visit, and you could like change the wall color or like get furniture or buy all these random items that don't really maybe have much utility, but it's an expression of your personality and who you are as a person. I think as the overworld gets introduced, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Aurum sinks like that.
Yeah, or have a display room to display your other NFTs and things like that would also be cool, and something other projects have done.
That's a dope idea.
Dope.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Raiders King. Well, we're just about to end the Twitter space or the roundtable. I'm gonna call it roundtable. But I want to make sure give you some time to give us your opinion and thoughts. Raider King, go ahead.
Well, hello everyone. I'm someone who is not such following the Twitter space and participate in like every event, but like I have a quiet I'm someone who is quiet but following the project since July, so I'm really proud to be part of this community, and I'm truly bullish on crypto riders, so never stop believe on what they are providing. So hell yeah, I'm so excited for what to come. Incredible community, and thank you so much.
Let's go.
Let's go.
It's a great way to end this roundtable, bro. Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Again, anyone in the community, if you want to give us your thoughts, just hit request. I'll approve it if we've got the space for you. But that is all the time we have, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming in, listening, and checking out the Raise of the Roundtable episode 3. It will be posted on YouTube as well as Spotify, and we'll have another one in a couple weeks. So until then, good luck with your raids. Good luck with the rest of your day, and have a great week. We will see you all later. Peace.